We've all heard the saying that mothers everywhere have drilled into modern generations of kids. "Oh, but look both ways before you cross the street, Jimmy." Now, of course, there's a reason for this. We don't want our kids getting hit by cars, but when did we as a society develop this innate fear of roads, that roads suddenly have to be something we just teach our kids to survive getting across or around? To reinforce my point, have you ever simply stood on a double yellow line in the middle of a road for a minute when no cars were coming? How uncomfortable did you feel just standing there on the ground in a spot where you've been taught you shouldn't? See, modern cities are ruled by cars. And bikers, pedestrians, vendors, everyone else is pushed to the side. I mean, literally pushed to the side of our roads along the sidewalks. And I'm here to convince you today that it doesn't necessarily have to be this way. See, first of all, roads take up too much space. In a world governed by the needs of cars, streets have to be widened in order for multiple car lanes to be accommodated. So buildings are placed farther apart, and our ability to travel on or across our streets is significantly reduced. In addition, this extra space that's being used for multiple road lanes could have been used for green space that could line our streets and embellish our cities, but instead, of course, we have gray asphalt to look at. Now, some of the most land-consuming types of roads that exist in the modern world are highways. Did you know, for example, that the I-75, I-285 interchange in Atlanta, Georgia, takes up roughly the same area as the city of Florence, Italy? Or that the I-680 West Dodge Cloverleaf Highway change right here in Omaha takes up about half a square mile, roughly the same size as the nearby West Roads Mall, all parking spaces included? And if you don't believe me, just ask Professor of Art History and Urban Planning at Creighton University, Dr. Matthew Averitt, and I'm sure he can tell you. See, we need roads in order for vehicle travel, but beyond a certain point, they're just an inefficient use of space. Secondly, less roads means less cars, means less traffic. And who here wouldn't love less traffic? Nobody. You see, to achieve this, we could initiate the superblock model, which is already in effect in some parts of the world, such as Barcelona, Spain. And under this model, you take 9 square city blocks and only allow vehicles to travel along the outside of them. And the inner streets have speed limits that are reduced to 10 miles an hour and are only one-way loops so that there's no through thoroughfares. And this would allow for more comfortable mobility for pedestrians through our cities and reintegrate public spaces and, of course, promote urban biodiversity with the heavier use of green space in our cities. And people who desperately need to get from one end of the city to the other faster than cars could allow for this model, they can just take public transport. Take light rail transit, for example. In places where it's already being implemented, it's working tremendously, such as in Minneapolis, where, according to Jason Cow in his 2014 study published by Elsevier Science Direct, ridership along the line in 2010 exceeded the predicted ridership in 2020 by 30%. See, the superblock model would allow us to reduce the number of roads designated for cars and make better use of our public spaces. And finally, less vehicle supremacy on our roads will make our cities safer and cleaner. Reducing the speed limits per the superblock model will make our roads safer and more walker-friendly and decrease the chance of obesity among the residents in our city by drawing more people out of automobiles and walking along the city streets. In addition, less cars and emissions and more greenery along our city streets will, of course, make our cities more beautiful and eco-friendly. So in conclusion, I'm not saying roads are a bad thing. I mean, where would we as a nation be if we never built the Lincoln Highway system in 1913 that connected our country? See, roads are vital to business, commerce, and travel, but we can definitely afford to start making cuts as to the number of roads that we give strictly to the autonomy of cars, especially in our cities. See, we need to get people walking on our city streets again. But in order to do that, we have to let people, and not drivers, know that they are the ones for whom our city streets are built. Thank you.